player. Dave Cromer, the head coach at Nutria Green, ended up playing for Western Michigan. Jim Votanik. The Loyola Gold has one lone blemish on their record. They're Scholastic Cup champions. And they have won all their games in this tournament handily. They beat Waubonsee Valley 5-0. Allowed Waubonsee Valley just 2 shots on goal throughout the game. They beat Glenbrook North handily, 6-0, to get to this point. The Lake Forest Scouts had a little more difficult time, particularly against Lake Forest Academy in an emotional game between those two. It was Lake Forest winning at 4-3 with the game-winning goal in the last 2 minutes of the game. Matt Bryant in the corner. We are completely sold out. Better than 1,200 on hand tonight. Back behind the goal, Dudek. Dudek wraps it around to the near side. Demas takes the man right in front of the Lake Forest student contingent. Over to the far side. Now Rock Dudek. Dudek tried to get it out of the zone, held in the zone by the Scouts. Matt Bryant will go into the corner with Mike Sullivan. Back behind the goal line, Smith, he couldn't come up with it. Brian Smith, that was. Out to the point and cleared. Here's Bill Lusso. Lusso, the leading goal scorer in the league, although he was not the leading scorer overall. Leading scorer overall this year in the Metro North was Mark Harris of Stevenson. Second was Ryan Vahey of Lake Forest, and then Bill Lusso was third. There's only 3 points. Make that 4 points, I believe it was, separating first from third in the goals in the scoring race in the Metro North. The big cranker by Kevin Magnuson, that's a little wide, brought to the near side, and Josh Wagner from the point took a shot. Skoglund to the near side, and again out towards the point, pulled out of there and cleared by the Loyola Ramblers. Down goes Heaton, and then Magnuson goes down, back behind the goal line. Now brought to the near side and cleared ahead. Skoglund dumps it back to the corner. Back behind the net, Magnuson took the man. Josh Wagner takes the puck. Wagner up ahead for Peter Graff. Now quick shot, a goal! Brian Dwyer. Brian Dwyer puts it home, and it's 1-0. Snotala with the assist on the goal by Brian Dwyer. Back into the zone, now Lauritsen. Bryant open to the far side and cleared. The Ramblers have it again. Bill Lusso offside. And Lusso and Lauritsen have a little push. And Lusso and Lauritsen. There's probably going to be quite a bit of chawing between these two. Ramblers trying to avenge the long blemish on their record this year. Back into the Scouts' end, over to the far near side, and Josh Wagner. Back in the zone comes Lutweiler. He got bumped off. Vahey up ahead, And Ryan Smith couldn't get it out of the zone. Lusso on the high slot and flicked away from him. Now dumped into the zone by Lutweiler. Carrier left it go by there, and the whistle and the stoppage to play for delay offside against the Loyola Ramblers. One of these, I take that back. Lake Forest and Loyola Gold have met 4 times. And Loyola Gold winning all 3, winning 3 of the 4. One of the games in the Thanksgiving Invitational, we had a unique situation in which Keith Magnuson assisted as the assistant coach for Lake Forest for a game, and assisting all year long for Loyola Gold is Mark LeVar, a former Blackhawk. So we had Blackhawks on both sides, and to get there, one of the 2 teams had beaten Fenwick, which at the time was being coached by Jerry Korab, who was also a former Blackhawk. So a lot of the former Blackhawks have gotten involved in youth hockey at the coaching level. Dump back into the zone. Lake Forest got and cleared right back out. Josh Wagner. Mark Bobby dumped to the corner. Snotala into the slot, out to the high slot. There's a shot, ran into traffic out front. Kebler had it briefly, now cleared. Graf ahead for Schremser. That didn't quite work. Lansing. Top free. Brian Dwyer. Dwyer strong arms his way in. The long shot and the save from Carrier. Picked up by Magnuson to the far side. Again out to the point. The shot and the save. Connor Heaton got that little deflection. Back behind the goal. Lake Forest Scouts. Near side. They've got him standing literally right next to us here tonight, so periodically we're probably going to lose some of the game here. Lansing, near side, back to the far side. Dwyer and Graf got it to center ice. Near side, and Rock Dudek. Dudek dumps it right back into the zone, picked up by Mike Loritzen. Loritzen cleared into the Loyola end and cleared right back out. Dumped back to the blue line on the near side. Loritzen was overrun. The puck at the red line, and now Loritzen tried to dump it ahead. Now picked up by Matt Bryant. Bryant did on the breakaway. Bryant shot and the save by Kevin Keating. Over to the near side. Out to the point. Demas couldn't keep it in. All the way back into the Lake Forest end. Loritzen. To his defensive partner, and Vehe. Vehe spun around by Snotala out from the point. The shot. And a goal! Skoglund got the initial shot. I'm not sure if it was deflected in, but Matt Skoglund got the blast away from the point through the traffic, and Carrier was screened, and he didn't see that one. Bill Lusso may have been the one screening. Could have been Snotala, too.
Loyola goal at 8:34. Number 27, Matt Skoglund.
Matt Skoglund with the goal unassisted. So he did shoot it through the crowd, and the screen that Josh Carrier just couldn't see. You got to give Josh Carrier a lot of guts here playing in this game. Carrier has brought this team to the semifinals, despite the fact, one, they were off for 10 days prior to the state tournament. They did not advance in the state playoffs, in the Metro playoffs. So they were off for those 10 days. And the second thing is that Josh Carrier, even though he is a senior, This is his first year playing varsity hockey. In fact, it's his first year playing hockey at all on a consistent basis. Matt Bryant dumps it into the zone. He played a smattering of like 1 and 2 and 3 games his first 3 years. There's a weak little dribbling shot and the save by Kevin Keedy on the shot from Peter Graff. And at this point, Loyola Gold has given up more shots on goal in this game than they did in that Waubonsee Valley game. Shellberg, there's the shot just a little wide by Kyle Shellberg to the near side. And cleared. Dudek to the far side. Lauritzen. Cleared out to center ice. Bouncing puck. Loicano couldn't control it. Loicano fed it ahead. Give and go play out to center ice on the breakout, and the Lake Forest Scouts just dumped it right back in. Rock Dudek back behind his own net. Dudek around to the near side. Over to the far side. Dumped in the zone by Hagan O'Brien. And now the Scouts on the breakout. Tried to skate it ahead. Magnuson got bumped hard by Bill Lusso, and then Lusso in turn got bumped by David Schremser. Puck, the player goes in the net. You should get a half a goal for that. Players into the net. A player going into the net should be half a goal. Just to make it more interesting. Skoglund with the shot, that boomed wide to the near side. Out come the Lake Forest Scouts. The long shot, the save, Sullivan. Bouncing puck, and now picked up Brian Vahey. He got bumped. And a whistle and the stoppage of play, and they're still pushing. Lauritzen. Skoglund. Somebody said something on the bench, and Lauritzen draws a little bit back at the Ramblers for the trash talk. Lake Forest Scouts slow to come back out here. 2-0. A reminder to you, we will be on the air on the network for the next several weeks, including the state championship. We'll also be on the network for the All-Star game. We'll be on the network for the Chicago Showcase, and this year we also have an extra alumni game, a second alumni game, featuring former Chicago Blackhawks, former NHLers who played in the Metro North, some of the more than 30 Division I players that have played in the Metro North. Near side. Rock Dudek. Dudek's pass over lead. And Carrier just clamps it down to the ice with Connor Heaton right in on top of him. 2-0. Favor of the Loyola Ramblers goal team. 5:41 to play here in the first period. If Loyola Gold advances on after this game, it will mark the sixth meeting of the year between Loyola Gold and New Trier Green. No one's been able to solve Loyola Gold this year. They seem to have been on a mission. One thing about those two teams, combined, they have given up fewer shots on goal than all but the Lake Forest Scouts. Everybody else has given up more shots on goal in the Metro North than those two teams combined. Combined, they've given up about 500, and everybody else gave up more than 500 shots on goal. They lose the puck and gain a face-off right off the first face-off. They'll have another. Only only Lake Forest was in that general vicinity. They gave up a little more than 300 shots on goal during the regular season. Certainly the big three this year in Metro North a little different than previous years. We divide the league up 12 teams. You usually divide it talent-wise into 4, 4, and 4. This year we seem to have divided it between 3 and 9. Not saying that those 9 haven't had their successes when they played each other, just as long as they haven't had to play the big three. Out to the point. Dead behind the net. Lansing. Bryant. Back in the zone and right back out and cleared by the Scouts, and that's going to be icing. And it is. The big three being Lake Forest, New Trier Green, and Loyola Gold. Between the three of them, there was a battle royal through most of the season for first place. Loyola trying to go through the season unblemished. Ended up the last week of the regular season with a tie to New Trier Green and a loss to Lake Forest, and in the playoffs, Loyola Gold tied New Trier Green 1-1, and then came back and beat New Trier Green for the Scholastic Cup after doubling back to beat the other teams in the other divisions. Russo with the shot, the save, and a scrum. First and 10, Loyola on the Lake Forest 5-yard line. On the split T formation. Run up the middle. Oh, wrong sport. 4:53 to play in the period. Loyola Gold able to match lines pretty well here against this Lake Forest team. Lake Forest really has only one scoring line. And that is the line that's out there now with Vahey and Matt Bryant. Fed to the far side, and Smith dumps it in the zone. Keaty left it behind the net. Smith came up with it to the side of the net. A little quick shot, and the save by Kevin Keaty. Near side, and it squirts out to center ice. That's where Schnotala has it. He'll dump it into the zone. Now Kevin Magnuson. Magnuson takes the breakout, feeds it ahead to Bryant. Bryant with the long blaster. That's a little wide. Far side, now through the crease to the near side. Dwyer, his pass under lead for Connor Heaton. Heaton just out on the line change. Heaton and then Magnuson kicked it, and Josh Carrier clamps it down and holds it onto the ice for the whistle. After all the problems we had earlier in the year with the Loyola Ramblers Gold team, I want to congratulate them. They have certainly changed their attitude around the fans, that is, 1,000%. And we certainly have no problems dealing with the Loyola Ramblers Gold team fans tonight, or for that matter, through the tournament, although we did have a little problem in the Scholastic Cup, and we've had problems with them and a drum this year. I don't know why there was the problem with the drum and the marching band instruments, but nonetheless, noisemakers were banned from the rink. I don't know exactly why, but they were. Here's a quick shot by Skoglund and the save by Carrier, and then some silliness after the whistle, as usual. I don't know what these games would be without the silliness after the whistle. 3:37 to go here in the first period. And the face-off on the far side there. Out to the high slot, Skoglund with the blaster and the save by Carrier. And again, some silliness. Shellberg and Vender in on that particular one for the Ramblers. That particular silliness. The press corps in full support tonight, full view. We've got NBC, Chicago Sun-Times, Chicago Tribune, Pioneer Press, Waukegan News-Sun. Just a few. Habler, his shot ran into traffic. Heavy check. Actually, that should have been boarding or charging. Man left his feet. Near side. Out to the point. Held in by Carrier. Deflected wide. Taken to the far side, Shellberg. Out to center ice. And the Scouts dump it back into the zone to lay offside. Kyle Shellberg with it for the Ramblers. Shellberg brings it up the ice. Shellberg ahead for Mark Bobby. Bobby flips it into the zone. Mike Laritzen tracks it down on the far side, and the breakout for the Scouts. The Ramblers letting the Scouts out of the zone tonight. Normally they don't do that. They try and hold them inside the zone and force it there. Luke Weiler into the zone, picked up by Laritzen. Heavy check by Wagner. The pass ahead intended for Bryant. That was broken up. Dudek dumped it back into the zone. The Ramblers doing a dump and chase here. Deflected and cleared back down into the Ramblers' end. Kevin Carroll, near side, and that ran off the referee out on the near side. Now Vahey will shoot it over to the far side where Laritzen will come up with it, dump it back in, long shot, saved by Kevin Keating. Overskated, picked up by the Scouts. They take it to the far side, out to the point, and nobody there for Lake Forest. Laritzen now dumped in deep. Demas fed it ahead. Graf cleared it. Rock Dudek wrapped it around the boards. To the near side, Lusso fed it ahead to Magnuson. Now back to Kevin Magnuson. Magnuson dragging it around in the zone. Magnuson dumps it into the zone. Back behind the net. Picked up by Skoglund, and he got blindside a little bit. Vahey. Magnuson, his shot ran into traffic, and here come the Loyola Ramblers back the other way. Dwyer with the big blaster, and that didn't quite work. Peter Graf flips it in the zone, back behind the net, over to the far side. Magnuson flicked at it and cleared, but we got a whistle and a stoppage of play. Bench minor on Loyola Gold, too many men on the ice. Loyola Gold bench minor, too many men on the ice.
Loyola penalty, 30 seconds. 2 men on the ice. Penalty started by number 17, Kyle Shelby. 2 men on the ice.
Loyola Gold penalty, bench minor, too many men on the ice. The face-off, and we lose the puck right off the face-off into the crowd. That's the Lake Forest contingent down there with the newspaper contingent in front of us here in the press area. That's the crowd heading the other way. Now that's the Loyola student contingent down there in the corner. We keep them apart. If we could only keep them apart in the parking lot, we'd be a lot better off. But anyway, we keep them apart. Skoglund, near side. Out to the point. Lauritzen deflected just a little wide by Greg Duke. Funny bounce off the zone. Bouncing puck picked up by Carrier as the horn sounds ending the period. At the end of the first period of play, the score is the Loyola Ramblers Gold Team 2 and the Lake Forest Scouts nothing. This is the Metro Chicago Sports Network. We'll be back with the second period in just a moment. Game for the Aaron Buckeye Medical Fund. Aaron was a player on the Glenbrook North team. Last year, he played in the game between Neutral Green and Glenbrook North, a game that Neutral Green won that eventually took them to state. But they demolished Marist 8-2. And that Aaron's been in the hospital in a semi-comatose condition ever since the accident. And his medical expenses now up to about $50,000 of uninsured expenses. And Aaron will play an alumni game for Aaron the night before the start of the Chicago Showcase. And you will see that game here on the Metro Chicago Sports Network. Lansing took the shot. That just a little wide. Far side out to the point. The Scouts with the man advantage. The long shot ran into traffic. Shot taken by Kevin Magnuson. Magnuson at the high slide. Will direct it to the corner. Here's Lansing with a quick shot and the save. And then Keating with the stick. I think he actually got his own player, Sullivan, with that little slash move to protect himself. 40 seconds left on the bench minor. 13:10 to play here in the period. 2-0. Favor of the Loyola Ramblers Gold Team. Now the face-off. I see that the Neutral Green team has stuck around. This may be a time when Neutral Green is cheering for the Lake Forest Scouts, I would think. Wagner into the zone, now picked up by the Ramblers who clear it.
One more, let's go, gang.
Kevin Magnuson. Peter Graff to the far side and offside. That man we just saw walking as the Scouts brought it out of the zone was Bill Wirtz, the owner of the Chicago Blackhawks. He's here tonight, as is the general manager of the Blackhawks, Bob Pulford. Little bit of history. Last time Loyola Gold played Neutral Green in the state championship 12 years ago. Bob Pulford and Tom Finks were in that game. I call that the general manager's game because Tom Finks' father was Jim Finks, the former president of the Chicago Bears, and long shot and the save by Carrier here on a blast from the right wing. There they are, that gray-haired gentleman, the two gray-haired gentlemen in the first row there, Bob Pulford and Bill Wirtz. Bob Pulford, of course, general manager of the Chicago Blackhawks, and Jim Finks at that time was the president of the Chicago Cubs or general manager of the Chicago Bears, I forget which. And the two of them with their various friends out to watch that state championship game, the general manager's state championship game, won by New-Trier Green, by the way, 3-1. Cleared out to the red line. Went back into zone, and Lansing stole it away. Loicano. Grab. Cleared to the near side off Connor Heaton's stick. Now Heaton has it again. Centered, backdoor shot, a goal! Eric Schnotala with the goal. The assist to Connor Heaton.
Scored by number 22, Eric Schnotala, assisted by number 7, Ryan Dwyer.
They gave the assist to Dwyer, but I don't think Dwyer was even on the ice. That should have been Connor Heaton that got the assist. Far side now brought into the zone, back behind the goal line. Centered out to the point, kind of a high slot back behind the goal, picked up by Ryan Vahey. Cleared. And Keedy with the push to the near side. That's Loicano. John Loicano cleared it out to the point. Loicano again with it. Vahey. Heavy check thrown in there, picked up by Heaton. A shot, a goal! Make that Bill Wasso. Wasso with the goal. Bill Wasso with the blast from the left wing. And the Ramblers lead it 4-0. And now the Lake Forest Scouts going to take their timeout to try and regroup. They're down 4-0. And not quite halfway through the game. A lot of time left to go, but the Scouts have a lot of work to do here. Quite frankly, part of the problem in this, with a team like this, I mean, I don't care what team you are, you've got to be on the ice during those 10 days that you finish your divisionals before you get to the state. And the Scouts had their opportunity and couldn't come up with the important victories down the road in the playoffs, considering that both the Trevians and the Ramblers hit a dead spot in that season along about the end of January through to about the third week in February. By dead spots, they were not playing well, neither the Ramblers nor the Trevians. In fact, the Scouts really weren't playing all that well, but at that time, the Trevians had beaten the Scouts 2-1. Something the matter there with Andy Lutweiler. Looked like he was about to pass out. Dr. Bender over there, you have a look at him.
Sammy Nakuchia, Dan Curry of Plainfield, and Dan Rourke of York.
A lot of concern on everyone's part over there.
We give our thanks to the Chicago Blackhawks Alumni Association for presenting those scouts
But
to the hockey players in Illinois.
the Scouts had their opportunity, considering they were playing Stevenson and Neutral Blue and Barrington, but they couldn't come up with the key victory to advance and Neutral Green back into the Scholastic Cup playoffs, and eventually lost the Scholastic Cup 4-1 to Loyola Gold. But Lake Forest had their opportunity, but they couldn't beat either Neutral Green or Loyola Gold and were eliminated. So those 10 days that they were off, Neutral and Loyola Gold have been on the ice all along. Skoglund flipped it into the zone. Tremser. Hagen O'Brien out to the point. Kevin Carroll now picked up by the Scouts, and they cleared ahead. Peter Graff. Graff tried to crank it, and he got, or make that Stuart Lansing. Back on the give and go, drop pass. Back to the point. Kevin Carroll. Near side and out at the blue line. The shot and the save brought to the near side. Bill Lusso. And cleared. That's icing. 9:02 to go here in the second period. 4-0. Favor of the Loyola Ramblers. 2 goals in the first period, 2 goals here in the second period. Jim Smith, the treasurer of AHI and the stadium chairman of the stadium day, they're talking to Bill Wirtz. Cleared out to center ice, picked up by Lycano, sent to the far side. And cleared back to center ice. Lycano fed it ahead, a pass for Hagen O'Brien, misconnections. Back in the zone, Rock Dudek. Dudek now cleared ahead for Hagen O'Brien. O'Brien back to the Lake Forest blue line. Now the Scouts have it again. Kevin Magnuson flips it into the zone. Keedy left it there. Dudek on the far side. He couldn't get to it before the Scouts did. Near side out to the point. Nobody there on the point for the Scouts. Bender back past it. Magnuson clears to center ice. Back into the zone. Kevin Magnuson. Magnuson deflected now. Flip to the blue line. Connor Heaton centered it. Magnuson clears it. Skoglund brought it in the zone offside against the Loyola Ramblers. Well, Kevin Magnuson tells me that he's going to go next year, play a year at Dubuque, and has already basically deferred, but he will play for the University of Michigan the following year. Oritzen, near side. Flipped into the zone, they shot. And Keedy took it to the near side. The shot ran into traffic. Now the Ramblers strong-arming it ahead. Schnotala. Heaton. Skoglund. And the puck frozen along the boards. Directly in front of the Zamboni door. Full house of better than 1,200. There's the Lake Forest contingent, as best we have it. I see the police escorting one of the Lake Forest contingent out. That group gets a little rowdy. More than a little rowdy. There's a shot, ran into traffic. Lansing. Another shot out at the blue line and cleared out to center ice off a Lake Forest leg. A long shot. He's saved by Carrier. Near side. Kevin Carroll back behind the goal line over to the far side. Picked up by Peter Graff. Graff clears it ahead for Graham Bailey, and then back the other way come the Ramblers. Kyle Schellberg got it into the zone, into the corner. Demas tried to wrap it around and ran into traffic. Lansing out to the point. Taken to the far side, Brian Demas. Long shot, that boomed a little wide. Bailey, he got bumped by Carroll right in front of the Loyola fans. Student fans, that is. Lusso. Over to the far side, and now Schellberg dumps it into the zone. Near side, and the Lake Forest Scouts. Kevin Magnuson. Magnuson dropped past it. Now flipped into the zone. Back behind the goal line, and then cleared the length of the ice by the Loyola Ramblers goal team. Josh Wagner. And Kevin Magnuson flips it to the near side. Picked up by Smith. Smith fed it ahead and cleared to the red line. That's Rock Dudek. Dudek, far side, directed into the zone. Kevin Magnuson will have it again, and he brings it around the boards to the near side. Roney took the man. Hagan O'Brien took the shot. That was way wide. And now cleared by Wagner. And it's icing against the Lake Forest Scouts. 5:01 to play here in the period. Face-off out to the point. Into the zone. Skoglund the shot, the rebound, and grabbed and held on. And now Loritzen. And it doesn't matter, it's played with a high stick. anyway against the Loyola Ramblers gold team. And we'll move it all the way down into the Lake Forest end of things. Rather in the Loyola gold end of things. Both Loyola and New Trier have two varsities, and that's why they're color-coded, as it were. The top teams are the Loyola Gold and the New Trier Green. They were ranked number 1 and 2 in the brackets this year. The second team for New Trier ended up in the top bracket, the Scholastica bracket, and ended up playing in this tournament as the top team in that tournament. Quick shot and the save. The New Trier Trevians blue finished in, I believe, 5th. Right behind Barrington. Barrington, for the first time ever, finished in the Scholastic Cup bracket instead of the Founders Cup. They played New Trier Green and got killed in that one. And then the Loyola Ramblers played Glenbrook North. Glenbrook North beat New Trier Blue. Loyola Maroon won only one game during the regular season, and they ended up in the Founders Cup bracket in the White Division tournament. Into the zone, now cleared out to center ice. Picked up by Bill Wusso. Wusso got labeled. Quick shot, a goal! Brian Dwyer, his second in the game. And the fancy dance. Nothing on the second goal of the game by Brian Dwyer. Wusso with the assist. Wusso took a little pain for that assist too. Flipped to the red line, now dumped into the zone by the Scouts. Keaty for Lycano. Lake Forest is another team that's been a bridesmaid but never a bride. Gotten as close as the semifinals a couple of times, but never made it to the championship. Near side. And Lycano dumps it to the corner. Loyola Gold has gotten as far as the state championship. Loyola, which is Loyola Gold, have gotten as far as the championship game, but they have never won it. New Trier and their predecessors, the two schools, New Trier East and West, have gotten to the championship game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times and won it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. The only time they didn't win it was in 1985-86. 1986, Mount Carmel beat New Trier Green. Every other time New Trier or New Trier East or West made it to the championship, they won it. Into the slot, now picked up by the Ramblers. Cleared out. Was Thomas couldn't keep it in the zone. Rock Dudek to the far side. And cleared out to the point, the big cranker. And the save on the bouncing puck, the shot taken by Josh Wagner. Ryan Vahey pulled out of the air by Keaty and then Heavy check thrown in there on Peter Graff from Brock Dudek. And again, a little antsiness. With the appropriate cheers from the various fans. Andy Vanella has been put in the net for the Scouts, replacing Josh Carrier here late in the third period. Guy Considine, I'm not sure just the reason for this. In a game like this, you'd still probably want to keep Carrier, although Carrier's getting shell-shocked. You might want to put Vanella in just to give him a little experience here, knowing the game may already be out of reach for the Scouts. Or it could be a case of wanting to settle down Josh Carrier for the third period. Into the zone, picked up by Loritzen. Wrapped around to the near side, now cleared into the Loyola end of things. Skoglund fed it ahead. Heaton centered it. A shot to goal! Eric Schnotala with his second of the game. And it's 6-0. A 4-goal outburst for the Ramblers, and they're burying the Scouts, putting this one away. Before we get to the third period, putting it away. Well, these two teams are too disciplined to, a game in the other brackets and a game that gets out of hand like this scoring-wise has a tendency to get a little rowdy. I would not expect that in this game. Quite frankly, I just wouldn't expect it. These two teams are too well disciplined for that. There might be a little extra pushing and shoving and a little trash talk between them, but I think that would be about as far as it would get. Smith dumped in the zone. Kevin Keady left it there. Keady's faced more shots in this game than he has in the last 4 or 5. Maybe even more than that. Cleared and washed off the icing. Dudek. 1 minute to play here in the second period. Out to the point and couldn't keep it in the zone. Offside against the Scouts. And to get some trash talk. Well, I guess the Loyola Ramblers have solved the problem of noisemakers. We're told they weren't allowed to bring noisemakers or instruments in. I guess they brought some party favors, little party horns in. Sounds like it. Out to the point, there's a little backhand shot by Kevin Magnuson. Now cleared ahead. They notice they moved Magnuson up to forward. Lusso shot, just a little wide. Into the corner. Thomas. Loritzen. Cleared out to the point. Kevin Carroll. Lusso with the shot. That ran into a leg out front and cleared out to center ice. That's where Matt Skoglund has it. Skoglund tried to feed it ahead. That was broken up. Now Skoglund again. As the horn sounds, ending the period. At the end of the second period of play, the score is the Loyola Ramblers Gold Team 6 and the Lake Forest Scouts nothing. We'll be back with more hockey, the state semifinals, in just a moment. This Loyola Gold leading it by 6 as we start the period. Skoglund dumps it into the zone. Picked up by Kevin Magnuson. Magnuson shovels it ahead. Vehe flips it to the corner. Heavy check thrown by Smith. Now cleared out to center ice. Wrapped right back into the Rambler end. Matt Skoglund has it there. Skoglund sets up the breakout to the near side. Now he'll skate it right through the crease and then shovels it over here to the near side. Kyle Schellberg. Schellberg flips it in the zone. Picked up by Kevin Magnuson. Magnuson cleared out ahead. Near side to Skoglund. Skoglund takes the shot, the pad save. Thomas. And he had his pocket pick, fed to the near side. Josh Wagner. Now Magnuson, his shot is wide. Lansing. Wasso. Dumps it in the corner. Snotala and popped free. Back behind the goal. Wrap around right through the crease. Stuart Lansing wraps it around to the near side. Dudek kept it in the zone. Snotala, Dwyer, cleared out to center ice. Dudek flips it back into zone. Josh Carrier back in goal, left it there. Over here to the near side, Magnuson. And then Snotala back behind the net, Dwyer. Dwyer couldn't get by the Lake Forest defense and flipped down in the zone. Fremser couldn't come up with it. And it's icing against the Lake Forest Scouts. Icing against the Scouts. Jim Votanik, the referee tonight. Now the face-off pops free, picked up by Loritzen, near side. Back behind the goal, Loritzen again with it to the near side. Bobby back behind the net, Demas. Out to the point, held in by Roney. Bobby, he overskated it. And now stolen away. Centering attempt, and that didn't work, and here come the Lake Forest Scouts. And back behind the play, we have the net dislodged. I don't know if we're going to have any penalties with that, but the net was dislodged. No, nothing else, just a dislodged net back in the Lake Forest end. Whistles the play down. You are watching the state semifinals, Loyola Ramblers and the Lake Forest Scouts. Well, we are guaranteed that all three of the varsity divisions, the trophies will belong to Metro North. The Highland Park Giants won 2-1. The Glenbrook South Titans won by the score of 6-1. There's a shot, a goal! Bill Lusso with his second. Lusso with 2. Dwyer with 2. And Snotala with 2. And it's 7-0. In fact, the Metro North has the maximum number of teams that it could have in each one of the varsity divisions. The Metro North League has 2 going to play for the Red Division Championship, 2 that played in the White Division Championship. The game went down to Glenbrook South versus Loyola Maroon, and Glenbrook South walking away with the 6-1 winner. And Highland Park Libertyville, or if you prefer Highland Park, as we call it in the Metro North, there's a shot and the save by Carrier. Right on the goal line, but the whistle blew. Never crossed all the way into the goal. Dumped ahead now, picked up by Schnotala. Schnotala shot a goal! Hat trick for Eric Schnotala, and it's 8-0. And for the Lake Forest Scouts, it's getting ridiculous. The defense is just not there tonight.
Goal at 10:44. Eric Schnotala, a hat trick, and assisted by number 40, Connor Heaton.
Heaton with the assist. And it's 8-0. Lake Forest Scouts flip it in the zone. Ramblers send it to the far side. The only team that Loyola Gold hasn't destroyed at least once this year in Metro North has been Nutria Green. There's a shot, the save, grabbed and held on. Now they've done it to everybody else. They're leading here by 8 with 10:21 to play here in the third period. You're watching high school hockey on the Metro Chicago Sports Network. There's the draw. And cleared out to center ice and dumped back in. Long shot wide. I thought that might have been offside. They said apparently that the Ramblers were good. There's a long shot and the save on the heavy shot from the Scouts out at the point. Greg Duke got it away. As we said, everybody else has gotten ugly. Had one game get ugly on them against the Ramblers. There's a shot just a little wide, picked up by the Ramblers. Dudek. And it's icing against Loyola. Kevin Magnuson showing his frustration a little bit, slapping at that puck. Out to the point. Wagner, far side, a little backhand shot right into traffic. Rock Dudek. Again to the point, there's the shot, the save, and grabbed on. As we're getting a lot of whistles, I think more for the frustration on the part of the Lake Forest Scouts at this point of the game. Now the face-off cleared. Mike Sullivan. Sullivan takes it to the far side and clears it himself to center ice. Lauritsen missed it. Or that was Magnuson that missed it. Wagner back behind the goal. Brought to the near side. Don't be surprised if we see some line changing going on for the Scouts just to have a little fun here. Move Magnuson up the forward, that sort of thing. This game out of hand and out of reach is going to be the last game of the season for them. So they're going to have some fun with it. Into the slot. And cleared. Kevin Magnuson. He missed his pass. Skoglund dropped past it. Kevin Carroll cleared it out to center ice. Back into the zone, drop pass, nobody there. Back come the Ramblers the other way, near side. Mark Bobby, his shot kicked to the corner. Rebound shot was broken up by Lauritsen. Now Mike Lauritsen. Can't imagine why he was trying to dump it ahead that close to his side of his net, but he was. Now Lauritsen with it again. Lauritsen tried to find the man up ahead, did so. Vehe over to the far side, and that didn't quite work. Back comes Lusso, and he got double teamed. Now Lauritsen and Lusso have a little extra to do after Vehe sort of started it and skated away. Back into the zone. Mike Lauritsen to the far side, out to the point, and finally swatted out to center ice. Cleared out ahead, now picked up by Stuart Lansing. Lansing long shots wide. Bouncing around a little bit. Now to the near side, Andy Lutweiler. Bill Lusso, he overskated it. Thomas dumps it back down into the zone. Back behind the goal. Cleared and overled. Here come the Ramblers up the ice. Andy Lutweiler. Lutweiler tried to sweep through. Lutweiler centering attempt, that didn't quite work. Sent to the far side. There's the shot, that's wide. Flipped down in the zone. The shot was just a little wide. Now centered right into the slot. Dudek. Up ahead, Dwyer. Dropped past it. Lusso shot right into traffic. Long shot and the save. Back behind the goal, brought to the near side. Dwyer cleared out to center ice. And now a little pushing and shoving in the corner. Back the other way. Pass was intended there for Bailey, and that didn't quite make it. And a whistle on the stoppage of play. As the Rambler fans begin to hoop it up, as they are sensing the end of this game, and with it, their opportunity, their third opportunity to win state. They have not been successful in the other two. Losing to Frem. The last three opportunities they've had, losing to Frem, losing to Mount Carmel, and losing to Neutra Green.
At the United Center. It's now available.
Hand pass out to center ice. Scouts dump it back into the zone. Sullivan picks it up. Mike Sullivan fed it to the far side. That pass was intercepted. And the Scouts trying to react to the puck. The long shot wide by Todd Vender. And the Scouts dump it ahead. Missed pass. Intended for Matt Bryant. Ryan Vahey. Josh Wagner. Wagner into the zone. There's the shot, the save. Carroll dumps it down into the zone, and that's going to be icing against the Loyola Ramblers, and it is. Icing against the Ramblers with 4:19 to play here in the third period. Icing against the Ramblers, 4:19 to play in the period. 8-0, favor of the Loyola Ramblers gold team. The Lake Forest crowd has thinned out a little bit. Understandable. It hurts to watch a game like this if you're a Lake Forest fan. Back behind the net. Picked up by Skoglund. Skoglund ahead and overled the pass. Picked up by Demas. Demas fed it ahead for Lansing, and that didn't quite work, but Lansing comes up with it. Lansing takes the shot, ran into traffic out front, swept out of the slot. Now picked up by Paul Thomas. Thomas into the zone, dropped past it. Nobody there, now overled. We got a penalty coming up for spearing. 2 and 10 for spearing. Who is that on? Appears to be on Loyola. Kyle Schellberg, a minor and a misconduct for spearing. And Luke Weller, who's seen limited action here since an injury. I noticed he was being attended to there when the Scouts took their timeout back in the first period. He was going to sit the minor end of the minor in the misconduct. Near side. Now flipped in the zone by Magnuson. Back behind the net. Skoglund. Into the slot. The shot, just wide. Magnuson is up as a forward here. The shot by Duke was broken up. Here comes Snotala looking for his fourth of the game. He shot, and I'm not sure if he shot it wide or Carrier just got a piece of it. Got a penalty coming up, and now Lansing gets up and starts pounding away on Dwyer. And I think Lansing is going to get one off that first penalty. He may get a double minor here. Now he's jawing away at Dwyer. Stuart Lansing. Stuart Lansing showing signs of frustration here. Stewart very angry. Stewart's one of the team leaders of this Lake Forest team. 2 minutes for slashing and 2 minutes for roughing. We got the initial slash on Snotala, and then got the rough on Dwyer. .324 to play in the period. Offside at the faceoff. Or are they still discussing it? Offside at the faceoff, it appears. Now the faceoff picked up by the Scouts. John Dwyer sitting there in the box. He doesn't have a penalty. Brian Dwyer rather, sitting there in the box. He doesn't have a penalty. I don't know why Brian Dwyer is sitting there. Maybe he just doesn't want to go out on the ice. Dwyer trying to hide. See, there he is. Dwyer trying to hide. He's sitting there talking. He's the one in the middle, but he doesn't have a penalty. There's no penalty. He just doesn't want to sit on the bench because he doesn't want to go out on the ice. It makes it look like the penalties are wrong on the score, up on the scoreboard with that. Magnuson. If he did, in fact, have a penalty, then we would have only a 2-minute minor up on the board. Out to the point. Cleared out to center ice. Picked up by Vender. Back behind the goal line. Now into the zone came Wagner. Centering attempt didn't quite work. Picked up by Vahey. Got past it. Cleared. Wagner. Loosey-goosey at the blue line. Flipped in the zone. Kevin Carroll. Matt Bryant. Center. There's a little backhand shot off the base of the net. Lycano. Hagan O'Brien. O'Brien gave it up ahead for Vender into the skates. Todd Vender's shot ran into a leg out front. Near side and then out and cleared. Turned out to be a long shot on goal. Picked up by the Loyola Ramblers goal team. To the far side. Connor Heaton flipped it in the zone back behind the goal line. Picked up by Loritzen. Loritzen fed it to the near side. And now popped free with a minute to play here in the period. Here come the Scouts back up the ice. Into the zone. Loritzen tried to center it. Nobody there. Now picked up by Vahey. Got double teamed off the puck. Cleared to the far side. Hagan O'Brien, he'll clear it, and that'll be icing. And it is icing. Icing against the Loyola Ramblers. Shouldn't be. Oh, now they're going to catch Brian Dwyer hiding in the box. Watch him come out of the box here. Brian Dwyer, there he is, just coming out of the box. He didn't have a penalty. It confused the referees here, and they were ready to call a icing call. And then they were going to call it an error, seeing the man in the box, but the man wasn't there for a penalty. Is Loyola taking a timeout? They must have. Loyola Ramblers take their timeout. I don't know why they're taking it. No reason to. 30 seconds left to play in the game. They're leading 8-0 and they're taking a timeout. I'll fall for it. Okay. Now the face-off out to the point. The shot just a little wide. Now bouncing puck brought to the near side. Cleared out to center ice again, and O'Brien and crew all push each other a little bit. Flip down into the zone. Back goes Kevin Magnuson. Magnuson back to the near side. Just a few ticks of the clock left here to the third period. 8-0 Loyola Gold. And that's icing against the Scouts. A little pushing and shoving at the end of that. Well after the whistle. There's a delay offside. Referee error. Linesman error. Flipped into the zone. And that'll do it. The final score of tonight's game is the Loyola Ramblers Gold team 8 and the Lake Forest Scouts nothing. Yep. For state, it'll be Loyola Gold and Neutral Green, ranked number 1 and 2 all season long. Just about. Neutral Green did drop down a little bit in the standings following losses to Barrington and a tie to Neutral Blue, but in any case, it'll be the number 1 and number 2 seeded teams in the state tournament will meet after eliminating the number 3 and number 4 teams in the tournament. So it'll be Neutral Green and Loyola Gold. This is Mark Braun. Hope you've enjoyed our broadcast. This broadcast brought to you by Broadcasting Rights, presented by the Metro Chicago Sports Network. Solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use, subscriptions and accounts in this game without the express written consent of Metro Chicago Sports Network. Infringement of copyright strictly prohibited. Your announcer and independent producer of these games is solely responsible for its content. This game was pre-recorded for presentation at this time. This is Mark Braun. Hope you enjoyed our broadcast, and we say so long, everybody.